Hello, everyone. This lecture is going to deal with the Native Americans in the northwestern part of the United States during Reconstruction and after the Civil War, during Reconstruction and after Reconstruction. So this is like the Native American Wars of the West. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump straight into it. So Native American life changed dramatically as a result of westward expansion. It had a huge impact on Native Americans. The first thing is it forced to move them to reservations. It was had a decrease in population through warfare. Native Americans fight back against this through disease. And then 3, lifestyle changes because of a forced assimilation into American culture and life. And then 4 is the government breaks the treaties that they promised to Native Americans. So forced to move to reservations, settlers felt justified in taking Native American land because they felt that they were making the land more productive for America. Treaties forced millions of Native Americans into reservations. Reservations were small pieces of government land set aside for Native Americans to live on. Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce, he was named after his father, a baptized Christian leader of the Nez Perce. The Nez Perce were forced onto a reservation in Idaho, 1/10 of the size of their original owned land. Chief Joseph led a group of 750 Native Americans out of Idaho, escaping the reservation. General Oliver O. Howard from the Civil War was ordered to bring Indians back onto the reservation, so force them back. Chief Joseph and others were caught and surrendered at Bears Paw Mountain. So they escaped their reservation here. This is their original homeland in yellow. And they escape from here and they go here and they get captured there. Chief Joseph said, hear me, my chiefs, I am tired. My heart is sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever. Population decreases. So this is like through warfare. So the American Indians previously occupied the West and viewed the settlers as invaders onto their land. Examples of warfare was the Battle of Little Bighorn and the Massacre of Wounded Knee. Geronimo and the Apache raids. There's Geronimo. So this is the Battle of Little Bighorn. Gold was discovered on the Sioux Reservation in South Dakota. Many Sioux, including the Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, fled the reservation to Montana. Colonel George Custer and troops were sent to drive Native Americans back to their reservation. And they met 2,000 warriors, which is the largest Indian force ever gathered on the plains. Custer was killed and severely lost the battle. After Colonel Custer was defeated at Little Bighorn, the U.S. Army was sent in. Sitting Bull was killed along with 120 men, 230 women and children at the creek called Wounded Knee. The massacre at Wounded Knee was the largest major episode of violence in the Native American Wars, which happened right there. Geronimo was the leader of the Apache Native Americans in the southwestern part of the United States. Geronimo fought against Mexico and the United States at the same time. And as Americans moved further west, Geronimo led several attacks on the United States. The Apache believed Geronimo had special powers. For example, he believed that he could walk without leaving tracks. Through many battles, the Apache were forced to surrender to the United States in 1886 in Arizona. So this is another example of the reduced population through the manner of diseases. Many Native Americans were killed by diseases brought by Western settlers. Numerous diseases were brought to Native American tribes, including measles, scarlet fever, typhoid, influenza, pertussis, which is the whooping cough, tuberculosis, diphtheria, chickenpox. So there's many lifestyle changes because of this forced assimilation into American culture. The assimilation, so this is the definition of assimilation. Assimilation is to blend into another culture, to accept a culture as one's own. Deliberate reduction of buffalo herds to force them to move off their hunting grounds to reservations. And efforts to get Native Americans to become settled farmers. Settlers wanted land to be used more productively, quote unquote. Native Americans were not considered citizens until 1924. So that's after women are granted the right to vote. That's crazy. So this is an example of a simulation. So this is boarding schools. So, children on Native American reservations were basically taken from their families and sent to boarding schools in the eastern portion of the United States. So the top up here, this is the same guy. This is him in his traditional clothing. This is him in the schools in the East. And these are the same three children here. This is really crazy. Later on in the week, I'm going to post a quick video for y'all to watch, which it kind of talks about like boarding schools and as a form of removing traditional lives from people, from Native Americans. So the government breaks treaties. After tribes made treaties that relocated them to reservations, the U.S. government and settlers frequently broke these treaties and took even more land from Native Americans. And that's it. And a couple of things I'd like to note about treaties. Treaties are more than just like a piece of paper that the government signs. It's like a land deed, right? So if I buy an acre of land in Tulsa and I get the deed for it, that is my land. I own it. And whatever my will, when I pass away, wherever that land is granted to, it becomes theirs. The treaty is literally a land deed that the United States is granting to tribes. So when the U.S. government breaks these treaties, they are literally breaking a deed that is granted to people. So it's just something to think about. It's really, really intense. So when you hear of Native American protesting, and I think we're gonna cover some of this in the second trimester if you're still with me. So when you think about these broken treaties and why sometimes Native Americans are extra angry at the U.S. government, this is some of the reasons as to why history plays a major role in this. This is the end of this lecture, and I hope you find it interesting. Don't forget to complete your assignments for this week, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.